Hey everybody, I want to talk about the Nets. If you just saw the game, they lost to the Sixers and Ben Simmons returned to Philadelphia. And as I was watching that game, I just couldn't help man, they should have hired Ime Udoka. As far as I know, he didn't break any laws, right? So I'm going off that assumption, but which is a big one, I guess, because we don't really know what happened. But around the Kyrie situation, there was rumors they were going to hire Ime Udoka, and they didn't pull the trigger on that. They promoted Jacques Vaughn, who, he didn't do very well in Orlando back when he had a chance, and he's not necessarily a bad coach. I just think he's very unproven. And right now, you look at the Nets, and they lost to Philadelphia without Embiid, without James Harden, without Tyrese Maxey. When this is Ben Simmons come back to Philadelphia. You want to, the whole team should have rallied around him and gotten him a win. And instead, they were bad. Defensively, they just cannot get a stop. If there's a perimeter guy tonight it was Tobias Harris, but if there's a player on the other team that's, a little bigger, 6'5" and up, who's got some length, who's got some girth, they just don't have anybody to stop them. They don't have any perimeter defender who can stop them. So defensively, the Nets are awful. And I don't know how that gets better because, I like their shooting. I like Seth Curry. Kyrie Irving obviously can shoot. Joe Harris can shoot. They have a lot of guys who can shoot, but, Royce O'Neal can shoot. But Durant obviously can shoot. But if you can't stop anybody on the other end, what's the point? And Ben Simmons played well. He even played well, the past two games. So he seems to be coming back. But defensively, this team is just still terrible. And you had literally the best defensive coach out on the market, or at least one of them, who went to the NBA Finals last year, and they don't go out and get him. And I just don't. The problem with the Nets for me is, it's a lack of mentality and it's leadership. I think those are the main two problems because I think they have the talent. I think they have the pieces, but they need a head coach who can keep everybody accountable and set a culture, right? And they just don't have that, right? I'm sure the guys like Jacques Vaughn, but I don't know how much they respect him and are willing to go fight for him. It's you don't necessarily need a coach that you love. You just need somebody who the whole team respects, is gonna play hard for. And when I see the Nets, I just see everybody's kind of doing their own thing. It's lackadaisical, and it's they just think that their talent is just gonna get them wins. And you have to have some degree of teamwork, and they have none. And maybe that will come as the season as the season goes and they play more together. But defensively, when you play that poorly against a team who's missing its best three scorers, right? Embiid, Maxey, and Harden. That's got to be a huge concern. I've had the Nets now for 3 years as a dark horse, a team that can win the championship if they get it together. But, they didn't respect Steve Nash, and that's why they didn't play hard for him. I think in the end for Jacques Vaughn, it's going to be the same thing. They needed a guy like Ime Udoka who players are going to respect, who they're going to listen to, because he did go to the NBA Finals last year. And so for that reason, he would have had that credibility that when he says something, everybody listens and they try to, follow the game plan. Right now, these guys are just not, they're just not playing hard. They're not, I don't feel like they're committed to basketball. They're not committed as a team to winning. So, they're still going to make the playoffs. But you saw tonight, right, when, Philly really wanted this game. The crowd really wanted this game. So Philly brought a playoff intensity. They didn't even have talent, but they brought playoff intensity. The Nets just couldn't match that intensity. The moment the intensity goes up, it was the same thing in the playoff last year was Boston. Boston raised the intensity. The moment the intensity goes up, the Nets are nowhere to be found because they can't get a stop. They don't play defense. There's no teamwork. Once things gets a little bit rough mentally, they get down. They start looking at each other. There's just no leader on that team. And if you brought in Udoka, there would have at least been, a leader on the coach's end, and maybe that would have just, permeated to all the players. But yeah, I don't know. They're a dark horse. They have a lot of talent, but I just unless something changes, I just don't see it. They don't have, like the Warriors have Draymond Green, right? The Lakers have LeBron James, when they won a title. And they had some hard-nosed physical players, you look at the character of all those guys in Milwaukee, whether it's Giannis or whether it's Drew Holiday. There's a lot of just natural leaders on those teams. Boston, even Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, I'm trying to think of other teams in the West, but there's just too many teams right now that just have better leadership than the Nets. And I just don't think they're going to be able to compete. They're not going to be able to compete in the East. I mean, you saw it tonight. Even a guy, PJ Tucker for Philly, right? He brings the toughness. He's not even a good basketball player, really, but he brings toughness. He can hit threes, and hey, he's extremely valuable just because of that. Like when the Nets play Miami, and Miami brings, I know they're not good right now, but I think they'll crank it back up. They're not going to be able to handle the physicality of the playoffs, and the mentality that it takes to win playoff games. You need some of those rough riders, and they have none. I think the only guy is Royce O'Neal. So, yeah, the Nets got their work cut out. So anyways, that's all I want to say on that. Well, the NBA season is just getting started. There's plenty of time. So we'll see how it unravels. And I'm really excited because there's so much parity in the league. So anyways, stay tuned and hope you guys have a good week.